Good Sunday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather with Sim again. I hope you guys are all having a great day so far. And in today's weather forecast, we have a rare severe weather event that is going to be coming to the United States today. And this looks to be miserable for people in New England. This is because we do have a 10% risk for tornadoes. Thankfully, that doesn't have a hatched risk. And if it would have had that, we would have been talking strong tornadoes. But thankfully, it's just a 10% risk for tornadoes, and I will show you guys that in just a second. And that also looks to be a miserable event for people in New England because they are not even used to seeing tornadoes up here. So we will be going over that. We'll also be talking about the flash flood threats. We are also going to be talking about future temperatures and as well as precipitation, and then we'll finally be looking at the tropics too as well. So as you guys can see for today, we do have a rare enhanced risk for severe thunderstorms across portions here of New England, and like I said, we have not seen a tornado threat this high before. And as you can see, there is a 10% risk for tornadoes across portions here of New England. So New Hampshire, Vermont, and of course northern Massachusetts now included in a chance for tornadoes. But areas around that like Springfield, Albany, back into Boston, Portland are also other areas that are included in the potential for a few tornadoes too as well. So we will need to be watching today very closely, as this 10% risk for tornadoes is rare for New England, and like I said, they have not really seen a 10% risk for tornadoes before, so we will need to be watching New England very closely. We also, will need to be watching for damaging winds across New England today, as we do have a 30% risk for damaging winds across the same areas. Hail, not really a big concern, but we could still be talking some storms producing 1 to 2 inch hail in some areas, so we also need to be watching that. So if you do live in an enhanced risk or the slight risk, but especially the enhanced risk, make sure to have your tornado action plan in place just in case, as we could be talking a tornado outbreak today. Like I said, I know there's no hatched risk, but because of how big the tornado threat is, as you can see, that's a 3 out of 7 on the scale, which is a pretty high tornado threat. We could be talking a small low-end tornado outbreak today, so make sure to really have your tornado action plan in place if you do live in New England. And then, like I said, if you also live in the slight risk, we will also need to be watching that area closely. But I will be doing live coverage later today, so make sure to hit that notification bell and as well as subscribe so you are notified whenever I do go live. So if you do live in New England or really anywhere around the country, you can hit that subscribe button and as well as that like button, and especially click that notification bell, so that way you do get notified whenever I do go live. And tomorrow's threat also looking a little bit significant too, as we do have another slight risk of severe weather for tomorrow. And what's crazy about this one is that we do have a hatched risk for large hail, meaning that 2 inches in diameter or greater is possible, mainly across this black outlined area that you see. But wind and even a few tornadoes also can't be rolled out either. And thankfully the tornado threat isn't as high as we do head into tomorrow, but it will still be an area to really keep an eye on. And then day 3, that does shift off to the east, as we will really need to be watching this area closely for more severe weather. And then I do feel like that is eventually going to shift down and include these areas next. Let me draw that a little bit better, and include these areas next on Wednesday. So we will need to be watching for this to continue to shift off to the south and east as we do head into Wednesday. But this is Tuesday threat, by the way, so it does remain a little bit uncertain on Wednesday because they don't have a severe weather threat yet. But we will need to be watching to see if one does get issued just southeast of that threat as we do head into Wednesday. But we also do have a line of storms already ongoing in parts of the Ohio Valley, heading from Ohio all the way down into southeast Missouri. This is likely going to continue to produce lightning and especially heavy rain in some areas of the line of storms. And I actually did get hit by this line of storms because I do live in southwest Indiana. So, we definitely will continue to be watching this line of storms move to the south and east. And we will also need to be watching, New England very closely, as we are already seeing the potential for a couple of ongoing thunderstorms across portions of New England. And that's the band of storms that we're going to watch as we do head into this afternoon, which looks to be the highest potential for tornadoes, by the way. If we look at the total precipitation, there's anywhere from now all the way to July 3rd, so we're actually already getting into a little bit of the month of July. We are really going to be talking above average precipitation across the Midwest, back into the Great Lakes, and as well as the Northeast. But in between these two areas, so pretty much this corridor right here does look to see at least near normal, as we are seeing at least 1 to as much as 3 inches of rainfall in that area. And of course, we are watching the tropics closely for more, waves of showers and storms to move through, especially Florida, as we could be seeing, a couple of inches of rainfall as we do head into July 3rd. So we really need to be watching both the northern part of the United States and as well as the southern United States for more in the way of rainfall as we continue to get closer. Now, let's go ahead and look at the flash flood threat. And as you can see for today, we do have a slight risk for flash flooding across parts of New England. New England has been seeing these quite a bit, by the way, so it's not rare that we see flood threats this high in New England. But it would have been rare if we did see a high risk, though, because high risk are rare. But there's just a slight risk for flash flooding across northern Maine back into Vermont, meaning that localized flooding is possible. So not a very high threat for flash flooding, but, still going to be a possibility. So make sure you do have ways to also receive flash flood alerts if you also lived in that enhanced risk, because that entire area is included in a marginal risk, but especially have ways to receive flood alerts if you do live in northern Maine, northern Vermont, and as well as northern New Hampshire. And then we also got that tail end of that marginal risk heading as far down south as Tennessee. Day 2, which will be for tomorrow, we continue to see some pretty good rainfall across parts here of the Midwest, and then we also will need to be watching New England a little bit too, as some of that flooding could linger. And then that kind of moves back on over here, as we will likely see both flash flooding and severe weather as we do head into Tuesday. And then Wednesday, that does shift off to the south and east, and so that's the reason why I was saying, we could be seeing, a severe weather threat down here too as well. So that will also be something to really keep an eye on too as well. And then day 5, we also, have another threat for flash flooding to watch closely for too as well. Now, if we look at the Climate Prediction Center, as you can see, 6 to 10 day outlook, we're going to go ahead and take a look at it, starting off with the temperatures on the 6 to 10 day outlook. That is from June 28th to July 2nd, and as you can see, still continuing to see well above average temperatures across the east, and then we're starting to see a cold front pushing through, bringing slightly below average temperatures to parts of the north. And if we look at the precipitation on the 6 to 10 day outlook, that is also from June 28th to July 2nd, and as you can see, that will be a pretty big area to watch for some above average precipitation, which does include all the northern United States heading down into the plains. So we got a nearly huge corridor to be watching for, and then the only areas that are dry are portions here of Utah, Idaho, Oregon, northern Nevada, and as well as California being the only dry spots as we do head into that time frame. 8 to 14 day outlook on those temperatures, still continuing to see the same amount above average temperatures across the eastern United States, but that warm air is now shifting off to the west. Unfortunately, we will likely still see chances for below average temperatures across the northern United States, so that is definitely still going to be some good news for them after dealing with excessive heat. And then we see a much bigger corridor for above average precipitation as we do head from June 30th all the way to July 6. So we will also need to be watching for that potential too, as well as those areas also continue to stay quite dry. Now let's go ahead and look at the tropics, and as you can see, we still do have a chance for maybe a potential tropical cyclone forming. I'm very surprised this one didn't really turn into a tropical depression or tropical storm, but especially a tropical depression, as the environment should have been, pretty favorable for this one. This one is still going to really bring showers and thunderstorms to parts of Mexico and as well as southern Texas. So if you do live in southern Texas or northern Mexico, right next to southern Texas, make sure you do have ways to receive flood alerts, because I do really think that we could be seeing, some pretty good heavy rainfall with the system still, even though it hasn't even turned into any tropical depression, storm, or hurricane, but especially the tropical depression. So, we will need to be watching for this. Very minor winds with this one, because it's not even a tropical depression, like I said, so just mainly be on high alert for flooding. Now, if we go ahead and look at the heat alerts, as you can see, we do have some heat alerts across the east coast of the United States, so pretty much the corridor over here in parts of New England, so heading from Connecticut all the way down into parts of North Carolina. I'm pretty sure that's the 95 corridor right there, and then we do have another area that we're watching for more excessive heat right there, as you can see, and then we do also have some fire weather warnings and even some heat alerts in this area, pretty isolated though, and then same goes down here in Southern California, so looking to be pretty hot for some areas still. Thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. We will continue to keep you guys updated on this weather. I will try to go live later today, like I said, so again, please press that like button, subscribe button, but especially click that notification bell so you are notified whenever I do go live. I can make a deal with you guys of let's try to get up to 500 subscribers before fall, so if you guys will subscribe to my channel also, that will be very great, and I hope you guys do have a great day, and please stay safe and take this threat serious if you do live in New England, because like I said, a low-end tornado outbreak does appear possible.